Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. I just want to make sure everyone remembers that we are live streaming. So to be considerate of those who are watching from home, do us a favor. Just hold on to the microphone whenever you talk. It's not so much for the people in the room. It's more so for people listening online. So that way they can hear what the questions are and know what the responses are. And it all makes sense. Um, yeah. Hmm? We'll pass this blue one around, and then whoever is speaking up at the front can use the orange one. That's all. We can go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Well, we'll pass this one around. This will be for, okay. If everyone wants to stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. So thank you all for coming. It's great to see some new faces here tonight. So first, Jonathan, I'm still not entirely sure if there's a police update or not. So we usually start with that and then we move on to our speaker. Go.
Okay, there was a meeting last week, and basically Carl Brooks, who has been running the that organization for a while now, he PCRC, and he's been involved with the community in that part of it in the policing for about 60 years, and that was he has decided to hang up his gavel at this point, and they passed it on, and that was a celebration for that. And then they just basically had a cake cutting, and they had the captain and a lot of the police people, captains and majors and whatnot. So it was a nice outing for him, and wish him well. I think we may have hopefully put something in the monitor for him. I don't know. Okay, thank you. That's about it there for the police.
And we're gonna follow up with them about, what we've been seeing, I guess, on social media about the, car noise on the, west side of town.
Right.
Because a lot of people have been saying that, it's really noisy. The police came, but I'm not sure that there was any kind of discussion or.
My understanding, there's still going to be a community meeting planned for next Tuesday. So if people want to show up. I think
Okay.
it starts at 6 o'clock. I
Maybe
can check that on my notes before. I think they moved it from 5:30 to 6 o'clock, but it's over at the police station, Northern District, and it's basically instead of the police officers coming to us and meeting with us individually, they said, "Hey, we need guys out in the field driving their cars," and so they have this community meeting now. They have scheduled for once a month. Yeah, I think it's 6 o'clock on Tuesday. Is it? I think it's a Tuesday. So,
maybe we could post that on the
yeah.
LSIA page and then also the I Live in Linthicum page on
Yeah.
Facebook, so people can just.
It's open.
That's for the
Anybody can go
community
there.
or
A
members
lot
of the
the
community to.
representatives from the community go. Different organizations show up, but and if there's something to talk about, that's going to be a hot item. So.
Right. Okay. Good advice. Okay, we are very happy to have with. Oh, okay. Very happy to have with us Andre Lingham from the Safe Aging Strategies Safe Aging Strategies to talk about internet scams, particularly those that victimize the elderly.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Thanks. So again, my name's Andre Lingham. I'm with the Safe Aging Strategies. A little bit about myself. I'm a retired Howard County police officer. And while I was on the police department, I'd always been interested in community outreach. So a position opened up as senior liaison, which I had no idea what that entailed, but I knew I wanted to service the community. So I put it in for it and luckily got the position. So that's how I kind of got into the elder abuse awareness field. For me, it has become my passion. When I retired in 2019, I continued on with it, and I will continue until I'm 6 feet under. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Today we're going to talk about elder financial exploitation, what it is, the different types of scams out there, and finally how you can protect yourself. So basically it's the illegal taking, misuse, or concealment of an older person's funds, property, or assets. And as we go through, we'll talk a little bit about each one of those. What I want you to sort of start thinking about now, especially with artificial intelligence, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, a lot of times what you see isn't true. And you really have to have that skepticism with everything you look at now. And as we go through the presentation, it'll really become clear why I kind of preach that things don't always look like what they are. Next. So can you kill the lights? So I don't know how this bird got in here. I do like birds, but someone may have hacked my presentation. All right. So okay. We'll continue on. Next slide. Okay. So we're going to talk about some current trends. 75% of adults 65 or older are using the internet. And as time is going on, it's more and more older adults. They're on social media also. So all the different types of social media. Last year was 1.4 billion in internet social media related scams. Oh, go back to that previous slide with the bird. What do you guys see? Anyone? Remember, things aren't always as they appear. I'll let the cat out of the bag.
It seems that scammers also do their homework.
Yes.
They prepare for what they're going to try to do.
That's actually a person.
I thought you were talking about.
Yeah. Right. That's actually a person. So you look at it, it looks like a bird, right? Here's a leg. There's a leg. There's an arm. That's an arm over the head. So that gets you in the mindset. A lot of times what you see quickly and you don't really look at it, but it is there. I get everyone with, how did that bird end up in that presentation? They're like, that's weird. But it's for effect, just to get you in the mindset. But that's a really, and then once I tell you what it is and you really focus on it, you can tell that it's a person. But that's how easy things are manipulated now. Next slide. Yes. Unless you guys want them off, it whatever. Yeah. Okay, next slide. So some little known facts. It's estimated that seniors, older adults lose up to $36 billion per year. I will say that's low because most older adults that are victimized do not report it. So it's really hard to gauge on a specific number. But I can tell you it is definitely in the high billions. If you're financially abused, you're 300% more likely to face premature death. And gender disparity: 2 out of 3 women that are 2 out of 3 victims, 2 are women, because women tend to live a lot older than men. You guys put us in our grave a little early, but so next slide. So why are older adults targeted? Number one, you guys are wealthy. That's what they say. But when you look at it, most older adults have accumulated wealth over the years. They may have a 401, retirement, pension plan, different things like that. Number two is cognitive decline. There's studies that show that as we get older, it's harder for us to pick out deceit. And that's why I can tell you a lot of my victims that lose largest amounts of money: doctors, lawyers, people that have degrees, that have accumulated a lot of wealth over the years. But as you get, it's really hard. I mean, at my age, I'm slipping, just remembering different things. So it's really hard, and you really have to monitor friends, family, people that are getting older, where you may start seeing the decline. You really need to start monitoring what they're doing overall with finances and different things like that. Social isolation. Remember during COVID, what we were isolated. You couldn't visit family members in assisted living, different places like that. Can you imagine what was going on in those facilities? Next slide. So red flags and warning signs. Probably the biggest one that you may notice if you're monitoring older adults' accounts is unusual bank activity. Because typically older adults are pretty set. You have, certain bills that you pay every month, and then you may go out to dinner a couple times, but typically it's pretty standard. Then all of a sudden you may see, well, where did this $1,000 go to? Where did this 2,000? And a lot of times if they're trying to hide it, they'll make up excuses of where the money's going. But I can tell you, typically it keeps going. It keeps disappearing. Unpaid bills. I've had old adults that have lost everything. Now they can't pay their light bill, their mortgage, their rent. And they'll try to hide it and try to get more loans and different things like that. When you look at wills and family members trying to manipulate their parents with one will, you may have 2 or 3 kids that want mom or dad to change their wills constantly. You'll see wills all of a sudden changing. And then a lot of times it's social withdrawal, because if they're victims, a lot of times they're embarrassed. And what I tell people that I talk to that have been scammed and victimized, it's not your fault. We have all fallen for a scam. I have. Given the right situation, we all can be scammed. Next slide. Additional warning signs: gift card purchases. A lot of times these scammers will want the victim to put money on gift cards. So if you're visiting someone and you happen to see a pile of gift cards and it's like no reason for it, like, well, why are you, what's going on with these gift cards? Oh, well, I'm paying bills, or I'm doing this or doing that. That's a red flag. Emotional changes. One of the biggest ones is newfound friends that all of a sudden just show up and say, hey, look, I'll take care of the cooking. I'll take care of the cleaning. You know what? You don't need to deal with the fine. Let me pay all that stuff. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to do that. But the key is you have to monitor and make sure that what they're doing is accurate and true and they're not exploiting you. Next slide. So before I get into the actual scams, artificial intelligence is really, really changing the game. And they're using artificial intelligence more and more to victimize not only older adults, but younger adults or anyone that's adults, if they can use artificial intelligence. And what is it? It uses technology to simulate human thinking and behavior. It's pretty simple. There's a longer definition, but basically it's a computer that's doing what a human would do to keep it. Next slide. This is a video.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality. Now, what do you see?
Next slide. Amazing, isn't it? That's AI. And the guy at the bottom, if Morgan Freeman wasn't there, it would sound just like him. And they're getting so good where, when it first came out, a lot of times the words didn't match up with the lips, and now it looks legitimate. So you really, really have to be careful. So some of the things that they're using it for, what we just saw, voice manipulation. So you could get a call from someone claiming to be your grandson or granddaughter that's in trouble and they need money. Sounds just like them. But it's not, because a lot of younger adults, their information, my voice is on YouTube, on social media. Someone can clone my voice. Also, visual deception. So they could take a picture of them, use their voice that they've gotten online from YouTube or TikTok or wherever. You would actually think you're talking to them. And they could put the information in an app where you visually believe that you're talking to them. Years ago, you would get scam letters and the spelling was terrible. And you knew it was scam letters. You go on AI now and I can create a letter that makes me sound like a doctor, like I'm brilliant. And that's what Chat GPT and all these different AI apps can do. It has good, legitimate purposes. I use it, but scammers can use it for manipulating it and scamming you. So as we go through the different types of scams, sort of keep in the back of your mind how AI might impact those scams and how it may impact on you. Next slide. So we're initially going to talk about stranger exploitation. These are people that don't know you and you don't know them. Next up. This is key, and a lot of scams would stop right here. If someone calls you on the phone trying to verify any information at all, and it's not a call that you initiated to a legitimate source, do not give them any information. So say if someone calls, hey, we're from USAA, we just need to confirm some information about your insurance. Okay, well, I'm going to look on the back of my USAA card or log on to my USAA account, get the number that's there. Because what they'll do is say, hey, you can call me directly. If you say, well, I'm not sure if this is legitimate, I'll call you back. Okay, you can call me directly at this number. What do you think you're doing? You're calling the scammer right back, and he's going to say USAA, right? So make sure, and don't Google it. Don't Google the number, because again, they'll have scam numbers out there for USAA and all these different types of banking facilities. So the card is safe, and also when you log on legitimately to your account. But again, do not verify any information, not even your name. Next. One of the ways they want you to put money and send it is on green dot cards. It's just similar to prepaid cards. They really like this because once you put the money on, they get the number and the money's gone. Again, that's a red flag if you're visiting someone and they have a large amount of green dot cards. Next. Money transfer scams. A lot of times they'll want you to go to MoneyGram, Western Union. I cringe every time I go into Walmart or one of these places that have these, and I see an older adult sending money, and I know it's a scam. It's really no reason for them to be doing that. Next. Now, again, the game is changing. How many have seen the Bitcoin ATMs? They are all over. And basically, the scammer will tell you, go to a Bitcoin ATM and put the money in there. It buys Bitcoins, and it goes directly to the scammer. Gone. FDIC does not have any control over Bitcoins. It's no government agency that monitors or controls that. So you're seeing more and more of these, and this is one of the ways they're getting money. They're trying to look at legislation on trying to figure out how they can manage these, because they know it's a gateway to scams. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It's so much money. And and then you have the lobbyists and exactly. So just be careful when you go in stores. If anybody needs you to send money and they want you to send it through this Bitcoin ATM, do not do it. Next. Again, if you get a call, hey, this is so-and-so from Social Security Administration. We just need you to verify your information so we can continue with your benefits. That's what they'll throw in there. Again, do not confirm anything. Same with Medicare, because what happens is they'll want your Medicare number. What are they going to do with that number? They're going to submit fraudulent medical bills to the government. And that's what we call medical ID theft. You very rarely hear about it. That is the best moneymaker, medical ID theft, because they can submit bills and get paid based on that number. Next. Typically by phone. Actually, they really shouldn't be. I mean, once you're set with Social Security or Medicare, unless there's an issue, they may send a letter out. But again, if you get that call, go, find out the legitimate number and call them back. I wouldn't give them any information. This is one of the biggest scams out there, sweepstakes and lottery. And typically they'll send you a letter that you won X amount of dollars, but you just have to pay the taxes. The only legitimate lotteries are the Mega Millions, Powerball, and Maryland Lottery, and all the other ones that rip you off. But they're legal. Here's a next video, and we'll talk about it after.
Donna Parker can't help but feel guilty.
I felt stupid. I mean, it's like, I should have known. I should have looked. I should have paid attention. But I didn't.
By the time she figured out what was happening, her elderly parents were hundreds of thousands in debt.
And I just spent all this time going, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
By phone and mail, a ring of Canadian sweepstakes scammers had tricked Charles and Miriam Parker into giving away their life savings. And before it was over, the highly educated couple had become unwitting accomplices in what officials say is a $3 billion a year racket.
I've been on house calls with older adults where there have been concerns about abuse or neglect, and literally not 60 seconds would go by that their phone wasn't ringing. And I would pick up the phone and say hello, and it was, a Nigerian princess or somebody in the Canadian lottery.
FBI agent Joan Fleming handled the Parker case and says the problem is getting worse every year.
I'm seeing larger amounts of money from single victims reported. 6 figures is not unusual.
But what makes the Parker case unusual is that after they'd been cleaned out, the couple became what authorities call money mules. The scammers would have other elderly victims send cash to the Parkers, hidden in old magazines. Mrs. Parker would then repackage it and forward it to Montreal.
Having the money hopscotch from one victim to another makes it much more complicated.
The Parkers' troubles began sometime in late 2004.
I knew my dad had a good retirement. I knew for years they'd been able, after he retired, been able to live within their means. Then all of a sudden, they couldn't.
Like many victims, her parents hadn't been diagnosed with dementia or any other mental deficiency.
Even in the really early stages before you have Alzheimer's, like mild cognitive impairment, you become more vulnerable to getting scammed.
Everybody said to me, it's their money. It's their money.
After nearly 4 years of struggle, the Parker children sued to have their parents declared financially incompetent.
You know how hard that is to take your parents to court? The one thing my dad kept saying was, I am not mentally incompetent. I am not mentally incompetent.
Next.
The man the Parker...
Oh, go back. Can you go? Yeah.
Incompetent. I am not mentally incompetent.
The man the Parkers knew over the phone as Howard Clark was really Clayton Atkinson, a Canadian with a lengthy criminal record. He pleaded guilty in March and is serving 12.5 years in a federal prison. The couple lost more than $200,000 to this and other scams.
I think they are the lowest of the low. To this day, I don't understand why 2 perfectly intelligent people just didn't finally say, forget it. Nothing's ever coming through, forget it. And they never did. Never did.
Charles Parker died in February. His 87-year-old widow now has a 30-year mortgage and gets a monthly stipend from her daughter. Alan Breed, Associated Press, Cary, North Carolina.
That's not uncommon. And that's why I like, showing that video. How many red flags did you see? He had a great pension, no issues paying, then all of a sudden they couldn't. It's really hard once you become an adult for another person or the government to tell you what to do with your money unless you're deemed incompetent. And that's really hard. That's why it took 4 years for them to get it through the court system where the daughter could manage their finances. So this is a case that I actually worked on in Ellicott City. My victim was 83 years old. She had gotten a letter that she won millions of dollars in a BMW. All she had to do was pay the taxes of $12,000. So she went to the local bank. Luckily, the teller thought something was wrong because she typically doesn't withdraw that amount of money. Said, well, for this amount, you have to talk to the bank manager. The bank manager spoke with her and said, hey, you normally don't spend this type of money. Is there a reason? She said, oh, yeah, I won the lottery and I have to pay the taxes. And he said, ma'am, this is a scam. I wouldn't send the money. Oh, no. I've been dealing with these people for months. And these are good Christian people. It's called the grooming process. That's what they do. So he called police officer. Police officer came out, same thing. I don't want your help. Okay. Luckily, the officer got her name and address, contacted me. I went right out, met with her. Same thing. I don't want your help. I said, well, how are you going to send them the money? And she said, well, I'm going to send it FedEx. Okay. I said, which FedEx did you? I'm not telling you. So I had to put on my detective hat and I went to the closest FedEx. And I actually found the FedEx package with $12,000 in it. So I had a decision to make at that point. Do I seize the money, but I got to give it back to her? Or do I let it go through? How many would have seized it? How many would let it go through? Right. So I did let it go through. The reason being it was going to a little town in Kentucky, Covington, Kentucky. if it was going to an address in New York City, LA, or one of the major cities, I wouldn't have let it go through because I know I probably wouldn't have been able to get local law enforcement help to recover it. So I let it go through, contacted the police department down there, fraud detective, gave him the guy's name when the package was going to be delivered. Once I gave him his name, he's like, I know this guy. We've talked to him about this before. Next slide. So that's him, Mr. Grout. He was, remember, being a victim first, and then you can get your money back, the money mule. That's what he became. So the victims would send the money to his address. He would take 10% off the top and then forward to wherever the scammers wanted him to forward it to. Yes. Yes. Well, they trick you into believing that they can help you. You can get your money back, but basically you're scamming someone else if you're taking 10% off the top.
Do they know that they're scamming somebody else? And at this point,
You
they're
have
just
to know.
desperate?
Yeah. I mean, so why would I have someone send me money and then I take 10% and then send it somewhere else? So he ended up getting 5 years in the Kentucky State Penitentiary because they told him 3 times that, hey, stop doing this. And he kept doing it. So I could put 20 pictures of older adults up there with mugshots that have been caught doing this. So you really have to be careful. Next, jury duty scam. If you ever get a call from the sheriff's department saying you missed jury duty, ignore it. That's a common scam. Anne Arundel, Howard, all around. Just ignore it, please. They will typically call you on a Friday and say if you don't pay the bail now, you may be arrested and you'll be locked up over the weekend. Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. So on that last scenario, did you get the bigger fish?
No, absolutely not. Because it was out of the country, Jamaica. Yep. Next. Microsoft tech support. You on your computer, you get a pop-up. Immediately turn off your computer and unplug it and then reboot it. It'll pop up and say, your subscription's about to expire or there's a virus. The ultimate thing is they want control over your computer and they will hold it for ransom until you give them X amount of dollars. I had a lady that gave them $8,000 and the computer was worth $200. The problem is she had all her personal information on there, her tax returns, all that. And they just kept going for more and more money until she basically said, I have no more. And then they basically released it.
So you can't just X out of that. You have to actually turn it off.
I always turn it off, just to reboot it all the way together. But please do not click on anything. Nothing. Don't even look at it. Next one. This is huge, a family member scam. So typically, again, they'll call you and say they've been in an accident, killed someone, whatever the case may be, but they need you to send them money. A lot of times they'll claim to be with an attorney and then a fake attorney will get on the phone. Think about AI now. It may sound just like your grandson or granddaughter. Everyone in here should have a password or passcode.
Safe word.
So safe word, whatever you want to call it. But if anyone ever calls you asking for money, anything like that, what's the password? The scammer should not know that. If they do, then, it is what it is. But 99.9% of the time, they should not know that. And tell your grandson, do not share it with anyone. No one, not wife, girl, whatever. Do not share it. That would stop a lot of these because they will not know. Go ahead, next video.
Surveillance video shows a man slowly approaching an 81-year-old woman's home, lurking and looking around. Moments later, with a nonchalant grin, police say he simply takes her life savings because she thinks it's necessary to help her son. You even hear the victim apologizing for the feel of the freshly withdrawn cash. She even seems to be grateful as she hands over $45,000 in total. Investigators say the thief claimed her son needed bail money after hitting a pregnant woman's car, injuring her and killing her unborn child.
That's about as brazen as you're going to get. That's why I have no, this is disgusting to me. This individual preyed on this woman because she's 81 years old.
Nassau County Police tell us the scammer first called the victim around 11 a.m. Monday, asking for $7,500. When she went to the bank and withdrew that, he called a few hours later and asked her for $7,500 more. Then later that evening, a third time, going for $30,000.
This piece of garbage came back. She gave it to him the first time. That wasn't enough. He came back a second time, and then he tripled down on the amount of money, going for $30,000. He doesn't belong out on the streets. He belongs in jail.
She later realized it was a scam after speaking with family members. Neighbors tell us she's a friendly woman who's been in their Oceanside neighborhood for a while.
Very nice lady. That's a lot of money for her.
Authorities are now warning others to be extra cautious with elderly phone scams on the rise, reminding people to call 911 if
it gives a different perspective when you see someone give away that amount of money. And unfortunately, that happens where they will show up at your house. And she went to the key is contact family members first before you even make that decision. Because the younger me, I wouldn't fall for that. It's no way. Why would they want to get cash from me directly? Reference to my grandson having an accident or paying bail or whatever. The older me may want to just say fix it and get him out of that situation, and a lot of that plays into it. Same thing with IRS tax scam. If you get a call or email, whatever, saying that you owe taxes and we have a warrant out for your arrest, just ignore it. A lot of times they will want you to put money on a iTunes gift card. And I had a young lady that put $8,000 on an iTunes gift card. Now, why would the IRS, unless they're into music, why would they want you to put what you owe them on a gift card at all? Again, they intimidate you and they know how to speak to you. And if you've never been to jail before, the last thing you want to do is go to jail. So in your mind, all you want to do is fix the problem. Next. So this is a big one, online romance scam. And typically the way it works is the person will put their profile online. These scammers will look at it, reach out to them. And typically they'll say they're overseas, wherever they're Americans overseas working. They're in areas where there's little internet service. So basically, the only thing we can do is communicate by emails. And they will communicate with you. And because first of all, when you put an ad out there, you basically tell a lot of people what you like, what you don't, basically things about you. So they're going to look at that. And it just so happens that they're in the same things you're into. I don't know how that works, but, and then as the more you communicate, the more you're going to fall in line and you're going to be so compatible. And then all of a sudden, tragedy happens where they'll need some money. Next slide. So some of the signs: too perfect, too fast. After a couple emails, oh my God, I just love you. We're meant to be together. Avoids video chat, of course, because it's a dude in Bangladesh somewhere. And then the constant crisis and can't meet. And what happens, they may even send you fake flight arrangements. And then all of a sudden, something will happen. Next. Some of the favorite lies: I or someone else close to me is sick, hurt, or in jail. I can teach you how to invest. Remember that one. I'm in the military far away. That's a good one also. That gets a lot of people. Next. Deputy United States Marshal facing federal charges for money laundering related to a romance scam involving more than 20 victims. United States Marshal stationed in D.C. was running this scam. And he collected $1.9 million in victim losses. And right in D.C. Next. So this is a case study. My victim, 67-year-old retired doctor, early onset of dementia, cognitive decline. She put a profile on Facebook. Person responded that he was in the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, whatever it is now, working on a oil rig. They communicated over 4 months, and he had sent whoever it was had sent her fake flight information. Of course, it always got canceled. Something happened, and then he asked for some money, and she started sending money. Next. So this is what she sent, a total of $593,000. She sent the second and third wire transfer was on the same day. One was in the morning, one was in the afternoon. Do you think maybe some of her cognitive decline or dementia may have played into that? She may have forgotten that she had sent it. And, unfortunately, so with this case, I worked with her daughter because she lived with her daughter. She still continued to try to send money. Her daughter called me. She's like, "You're not going to believe it. My mom's at the bank trying to wire another $500,000. So eventually they had to get, basically take over everything, go through the courts and all. These are some of the hardest cases because the victim wants to believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, or it's this whatever fantasy that they've been told will come true. So they will lie to you in your face. Because I met with her. I said, "You're not sending them any money." "Oh, no, I would never do that." "I know you just tried to send them $500,000 2 days ago." But in their mind, they want that fantasy to come true. So you really have to monitor. Next. Okay, think about online romance scam. Now, they'll say, "You know what? We're into cryptocurrency. You ever invest in crypto?" No. I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't know what that is. You can make a lot of money. So why don't you do this? Just send me $500. I'll invest it for you. It's all legitimate. I'll set up an account. You can go online and you can look at the account. Send them $500. What's going to happen to that $500? Exactly. Before you know it, it'll be $10,000. So what do as greedy people, Americans? We send them more money, right? Until that one day you go on there and you try to get your money and the account's shut down. It's gone. That's simply how it happens. This is becoming more and more common. Next.
Celebrating my
Here's a video.
birthday.
Eric Jiang's phone is filled with photos of milestones with his parents, from graduations to award ceremonies. And Jiang's dad, Amos, wanted to help him with the next big milestones.
To help my fiance and I pay for our wedding, and he wanted to surprise us with a house.
And his father thought he'd found a chance to do that after he got these messages from someone who called themselves Lynn. At first, Lynn apologized for texting the wrong number, but Jiang says they kept texting, forging a months-long friendship and asking for advice about immigrating to the U.S. from China. Lynn eventually convinced Jiang's father to send over more than $1 million for a series of supposed crypto investments through a fake trading platform.
It's my entire life savings.
I especially feel terrible for my parents because I know how hard they worked. Growing up, we didn't have a lot. We made a lot of sacrifices.
This report from the Woodbridge Police Department says they informed the Jiangs of the scam after a Georgia detective called them about an investigation there. A victim in Georgia led that detective to bank records showing, quote, large deposits from victims in the greater New York City area.
Probably over 24 victims in about 12 different states.
Detective Michelle Taylor of Peachtree City says she contacted the FBI after tracing the scammer's bank account back to Hong Kong.
It's usually a dead end for us as local jurisdictions.
That bank account is closed, but the website Jiang's father used for the phony investments is still there, encouraging people to sign up. The CBS 2 investigative team copied and pasted language from the site into a search engine and found 10 other sites with the same design and layout. Some of them even use a legit company's name or logo, like Wells Fargo or Trust Wallet, who confirmed to CBS 2 this site is fake.
Wiring people who you don't know money is very dangerous. It's like taking the money out of your wallet and leaving it on the ground. You know, once you leave it, it's gone.
So this person basically took advantage of your father's good nature.
Absolutely, yeah.
Jiang and his fiancée made the tough decision to call off their wedding for now as they try to raise money for something more important.
My parents are still in danger of losing their home, and at their age, you know, a move is extremely stressful.
Just heartbreaking to hear that story.
And that's one of the problems when you lose everything at that age. It's not like you're in your 30s or 40s where you can get a second job or kind of recover. That's it. Another thing that people don't think about is the tax implications, which they really need to change the law, that if you're a victim of financial exploitation and you take money out of your 401 or whatever early, or, you know, if there's a penalty, you shouldn't pay taxes. You shouldn't have to pay taxes and be victimized again. It's scary. And this stuff is happening over and over. And that's why I say it's really hard to put a number on the amount of money that Americans are losing. So this is an interesting crypto case study right out of Middle River. I got a call reference to this. So my victim was on YouTube and he was interested in cryptocurrency. Found a video on speed traders, something financial. I don't know what it is. So when you go on YouTube, you see all the comments, right? So he was looking at comments. One of the comments was basically, this video, this company's great, but we can get you more money. And he clicked on that or went to that site, which was a fraudulent cryptocurrency site. So he initially invested 88,000. Of course, it went up to 350,000, right? And then he wanted to withdraw 120,000. They basically said, no, you can't withdraw it. So he said, you know what? I'm going to report you to the FBI and the Federal Trade Commission. I said, okay, whatever. Next slide. This is where it gets interesting. Several days later, he gets an email from a detective, Frank Gibson, from the Federal Trade Commission, that he's been assigned his case to investigate. Don't tell anyone, because this is a very serious investigation, a lot of layers, multi-millions of dollars. You have to keep it to yourself. But what I need you to do is all your savings and everything, liquidate that and buy gold bars. I'm not making this up, folks. I can show you the whole report. He purchased $280,000 in gold bullion. Had it sent. I didn't know they basically send it through FedEx. If you buy gold bars, I didn't. Yeah, they just send it to your house. He contacted them. They came out and picked it up from his house. Now, the scammers. Now think about it. You get the email from Federal Trade Commission after you reported it to Federal Trade Commission and you told them you were going to report it. So in your mind, you're like, okay, this is legit, right? But for me, the point would have been, I'm not giving you any, I'm not, taking money out of my savings and purchasing gold bars to give to you. He did it. And this is the owner of a multi-million-dollar construction company in his early 60s. No cognitive issues, nothing. And he fell for this. But see how they're always one step ahead of us in how they can play it up. And he, second part, he fell. So it was over, $500,000 that he lost. And he said, yeah, I haven't told my wife yet. I said, oh, well, let me get this report wrapped up and I'm out of here. So again, think about it. Think about it. Next. Gold bar scams. I just talked about next on the list. So they typically call you federal agent investigating identity theft. We need you to withdraw your money and purchase gold bars, and then we will come out to your house and pick it up for safekeeping. Next slide. Next slide. We can go past this. Remember the accidental text. How many people get those? I get them all the time. Sometimes I play with them because, but again, see, this is interesting. In the middle of it says, I usually have a lot of business partners. Maybe the secretary saved Kevin's number wrong. I hope you don't mind. What does that give you the illusion of? He's a businessman, his secretary. So, of course, I see you as a kind person. Acquaintance is fate. Where are you from? And that's where it starts. Remember the other gentleman that sent the $1 million? Started just like that. And then they build up that relationship and friendship. And then it boils down to money. Next. Next, I just talked about that. So this is interesting. You don't really hear about this at all. Anyone familiar with obituary pirates? Basically, what they do is look at obituaries and get personal information from the obituaries and scam you. So how many obituaries have you seen with a lot of information? Go to the next slide. So this is actually an obituary, which is only like 50% of his obituary. They put all when he was born, where he was born, his grandkids. He was in the Navy. You name it, where he worked, everything in the obituary. Next page. So what kind of information do they look? Personal identifiers, birth date, middle name. They had when he was born, when he passed, had his name, right in the obituary. Family relationships, grandkids, open them up for child ID theft. They have all that information. Background information, his Navy career, where he worked, where he retired from, all that. Property details, a lot of times they will burglarize your home while you're at the funeral. So years ago, they would put when the funeral was and all that, and then they would burglarize your home. They still do that, by the way. And service information next. One is scams, inheritance scams. So they know where you worked, all that. They'll call you and say, hey, sorry for your loss. You may not have known, but your husband, had a life insurance policy or whatever. But what we need to do is payable now. All we need is a copy of the death certificate. We can wire you the money. The way it works is we take care of the taxes now. So that way you don't have to do it. So what are you giving them? You're giving them your bank account information, everything, and you're paying whatever taxes they say. Next. Debtors, if they passed away of a medical condition, cancer, all of a sudden they'll start getting bills related to medical treatments that they had. And a lot of people will just pay them and not even really think about it. Because think about it, you're still grieving. And, $100, $200, $300 comes in. It's I'm just paying. I'm not going to deal with this. Next one. Life insurance. He had a life insurance policy through one of those companies that he worked at, but he never told the person about it. So now I'll just get your information and I'll wire you the money. But again, you just have to pay the taxes. All that based on an obituary. So what I suggest is have them put the obituary will be released or given out at the funeral. And then, or minimize what information that you want to put on there. So we're going to finish up real quick. Go ahead. Friend of the past scam. Also a prior military friend of his that you really never knew anything about, but he happened to see that he passed away. Next. So now we're going to talk about known person exploitation. Next slide. Exploitation by acquaintances. Handyman, that's one of the biggest ones that target older adults. Doing work that they really don't need or that the handyman doesn't do. like roofing work because you can't get up and see that they've done the work. So they'll go up there and bang a couple times, have lunch, come down, charge you $1,000. Real estate issues. Next one. Unfortunately, and this shocked me when I first learned this, you're more likely to be victimized by a family member than you are a scammer. I was shocked. But then thinking about it, how family members are greedy, then I really wasn't too shocked. And this is typically how they do it. Next, power of attorney. How many people have power of attorneys here? Right. Did your attorney really sit down with you and explain how it works? A lot of them really don't. They'll just have it. They'll basically say, yeah, you're assigning your agent to represent you in the financial matters. Okay, what does that mean, really? A lot of them will have you, they'll draft and have you sign it the same day. I always suggest have a cooling off period of a couple days. Get it, read it over, read it over, read it over. Make sure it's tailored directly to you and your financial situation and what you want that your agent to have access to change, modify, do whatever they want to with it. So basically, it's a document that gives authority for one person to act for another person in some or all legal financial matters. Next. So in law enforcement, it's what we call a weapon and a shield. The weapon is when they financially exploit you because they have a document saying that they can, open credit cards, buy this, buy that, and your name, whatever the case may be. The weapon is, the shield is when we bring them in and say, hey, yeah, it's allegations of financial mismanagement. We want to have an interview with you. And they said, no, officer. I've got power of attorney that says I can do all these things. The bottom line is, narrowly look at it, they have a fiduciary responsibility to you. The bottom line, I don't care if they're son, daughter, or whatever. The power of attorney is to make decisions that will benefit you, not them. Next.
It's one of those stories where you're just wondering, how could anyone do this? Unfortunately, it happens a lot. It's just not always in the news. Now, this is the house that we are talking about. The trouble started 2 years ago when the elderly couple needed a personal loan. Their grandson offered to help and in the process convinced them to hand over the deed to this house. That was the beginning of the end.
And I don't know where we're going to put these.
Verna and Hank Kowecki have to pack everything and move. They're being evicted from their home of 56 years in Thousand Oaks.
Anytime you mention my house or my wife, it's rough.
Losing the house is incredibly painful for this couple in their 80s. But it's how they lost the house that hurts the most. They say they were scammed by their own grandson.
People in the neighborhood told me all about it, but I still couldn't believe it. Not from him, I couldn't.
And I don't know how a person can have a behavior like that.
Doug Emerson is one of the neighbors who broke the news to the elderly couple. He noticed that when Hank and Helen were out on Sundays with their grandson, realtors would be showing the house to potential buyers. Emerson did some digging and discovered the grandson the couple loved dearly was selling the house without their knowledge.
I asked him outright when he came by, I said, is my house for sale? He says, oh, no, don't worry about it. But it was for sale.
Not only was the house for sale, all the equity was gone.
He took out $360,000. Then he took out another loan for $65,000 and took out another loan for $47,400.
When the couple confronted the grandson, they say he left and never came back.
I just feel lost.
To the extent I wanted to commit suicide at one time because it's just too much. Too much.
I'm hoping something will happen and we can get it back.
Next. Unfortunately, they lost their house. That happens more than people realize. And I always say, even though they're family members and you hope they do the right thing, you still need to monitor everything. She didn't want to believe that her grandson would do that, and she even said it. And what was the thing? One thing she said that really hit me is when she said, "I wanted to commit suicide," because you've lost everything, and you have to, So imagine the stress of going through that, basically being homeless and no money after you've worked your whole life. Um, so we got like 2 more slides, and we're finished up. Um, oh, go back. Yeah. So the duties of the agent: 1, follow principals' wishes, your wishes. Exercise due care. Respect boundaries in the power of attorney. Don't go over the boundaries, and maintain records. That way you can look at all the transactions. Next. This is key. Selecting a power of attorney. Number 1, make sure they have similar values as you, that you sort of think alike and would, have the same financial mindset. Reliability, make sure that these people do what they say they're going to do. Trustworthiness, make sure they're trustworthy as much as you can. Good judgment. And finally, if they are having problems managing their money, that's the last person that you want to manage your money. Because what happened when they have that 550 credit score and can't get a credit card, who do you think they're going to open a credit card in whose name, basically? It's going to be your name, and you may not even know about it. So that is key. Make sure they're trustworthy. One of the issues that I've seen is when you have 3 or 4 siblings and then mom or dad picks out the one that they want to manage it. And if the other ones aren't happy, that's when you have a lot of family issues with power of attorney. So it's one of those documents that you really should have, but you should pick the best person for you to make sure your intentions are kept. Next. Again, you have a fiduciary responsibility. Next. A lot of people, did your attorney tell you that you could revoke the power of attorney? Okay. Right. Okay. So a lot of attorneys don't even mention that you can revoke the power of attorney. So if I designate you as my agent, I'm not happy, I can just say, you know what, I'm going to revoke it. I'll give it to you in writing, whatever, but that power of attorney is no longer valid. I've had older adults say, oh, no, I didn't know I could revoke it. I just thought once it was in place, it was in place. No, you can revoke it. Next. This is a case study, and we'll finish up. My victim was 70 years old in PG County. She had a serious medical condition, had to sell her house, moved to Howard County, was in an assisted living facility for about 3 months. Her grandson had power of attorney, decided to take her out of the assisted living facility to live with him. She was given 1 year to live. I think she cleared about $140,000 from her house. Next slide. So suspect, Seth Lee, financial status. Both suspect and spouse, his wife, were unemployed. Numerous calls to the house for substance abuse and domestics. And he had the power of attorney. Next. So these are the transactions once we found out about it. Fast food bar purchases, 32 for $895. And this was just 1 month. Go down to plastic surgery center. What do you think he did with that money? And look at the number 2. Breast implants. Yes. Got his wife breast implants. So when we brought him in for the interview, and his attorney, first thing he said, no. We got, he has power of attorney. Unfortunately, he can do that. Oh, no. Remember the little thing called fiduciary responsibility? We'll take this to court. I would love to get a jury trial because I know all I really need to highlight is a plastic surgery center. And I'm good. All the other stuff will fall into play. They decided to take a plea. Next one. And that's him. He pled guilty to embezzlement, had to pay restitution. Do you think he's going to pay restitution? And she lived another 3 years after she was given a year to live. Yes. Yes. And this is what happens when cases like, if it even goes to trial, most power of attorney exploitation cases, they won't even pick up. That's one of the issues. A lot of states' attorneys won't deal with them. It's a family matter. It's a civil matter. It's not. It's theft. And these cases are pretty easy because I have the records and I can show what they spent, when they spent it. I had a person that paid her son, she was power of attorney, the agent, paid her son $1,000 a night to watch his grandmother. Now, is that exploitation or fraud? I mean, come on. Next slide. So main thing is prevention strategies, education, what we're doing here. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention in the beginning, you will get a copy of this presentation minus the videos because the file will be too big. But everything else you see in here, you're going to I'll forward it on, send you an email, you'll get a copy. Next, we'll skip this. Next. So this is the campaign I'm doing this year, 2026, Scamdemic 2026. Spot the scam, stop the spread. We're probably going to do a big kickoff in March, and I will be going throughout the state giving this presentation to get people to understand that this stuff is out there and how to protect yourself. So I will let you know when the kickoff is, and I would love to see you guys come out and, even though you may see the same presentation, but bring a friend that hasn't seen it if you enjoyed it, just come out, because the key is we can do all the press releases, we can put everything on social media, but I know for a fact when people actually see this, it makes a difference. And when you see a person that actually is giving away money or being victimized, it makes a difference. So I love doing presentations in person. And the good thing is there's the Cracker Barrel right down the street. So when I leave here, you know where I'm going, directly to the Cracker Barrel to have a good dinner. But I really appreciate you guys coming out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. Yes, sir.
In the early mornings about LifeLock.
Yes.
You buy into LifeLock, but they were using examples of people who had their homes taken away from them by somebody falsifying the information,
mortgages,
getting control of the deed.
Yes, yeah. So that's deed fraud, basically. Someone will go down to the county clerk and basically give them fraudulent information and change the ownership of your house.
Aren't there things to stop that?
Well, this is my issue with that. And I really don't understand how it gets to the point where someone takes your house. If you can prove that it was done fraudulently, why should you lose your house? It makes no sense. So I'm actually reaching out to a few legislators to see if they can put some kind of legislation in there to prevent that. That's just like stealing your car, changing the VIN number and all that, and then you find that it's been stolen, but the bank still wants you to pay for it. I mean, it makes no sense at all. And I'm still working on some statistics on how much that happens. Because a lot of times you'll see a few instances and then companies will pop up, oh, pay us X amount of dollars, we'll protect you from this. When the likelihood of it happening to you is very, 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 very slim. So that's a good question. That's one thing I'm actually working on. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I mean,
so
it's pretty much once you give your money away, it's gone.
Unfortunately for the stranger ones, the stranger exploitation, a lot of it goes out of the country. And again, like the detective said, once the money hopscotches around, it's really hard. Just like in the case that I got prosecuted in Kentucky. We got the elderly gentleman, but really we didn't get the kingfish like the gentleman asked me about. So, and then power of attorney exploitation, prosecutions rarely happen. So, next. Well, I really appreciate it, and I'm so happy he is my youngest attendee. That's right, buddy. He's my youngest one, and I'm so happy to have him here. And kudos to his parents for coming to listen to this. It really means a lot, and I'm sure you'll remember it as time goes on and your parents get older, and you can, monitor and start looking at everything that's going on with them. Hopefully they keep their wits about them, but we never know, unfortunately. But again, I really appreciate you guys inviting me out. You were a great audience. I know I went a little long, so I apologize, but we're good. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that presentation. It was really excellent and does kind of make you think that, like, don't believe anybody and don't, if anyone asks for money, just say no.
Don't click the link.
Right. So do we have any announcements or any, Anthony? Do you want to give Anthony that?
If I could, I'd like to just hype next month.
Yes, please.
So last year, we had our first business forum here at LSIA, and it went pretty okay. I've been working on it for a couple of months now. We have a couple of people lined up. One panelist, Kelly Freeman, who'd worked at the Food Line right down the way. I know there's some questions for him. They actually have him at a different Food Line now, but he's got a lot of background, and that's a place where a lot of us shop at. And then two of our sponsors for the Monitor have said they'll be back, Amy Solomon and Bruce Fink. I have a couple other requests out there for panelists. Some of that may not work out, but I'm going to reach out to some other people that I've been working on for a couple months. So it's going to be fun. If you get the chance, February 11th, 7 o'clock, business forum. I think it's going to go over pretty well. But there was one other thing I wanted to mention also. So I haven't talked about this in a while. I have a small little production company. We produce programming in Anne Arundel County to support optimism, positivity. Anyway, just recently, we started to go into the animation space. And we have a show that's out there right now. It's called The Adventures of Auerbach. It's playing currently on AAC TV. Of course, you can see it on the website. But just to give you a little background, he's an alien who comes from many moons, many places. He comes from his home world to learn about us here in Anne Arundel County. So when we shot this, it's all about things that are here. It's all original material, all places that you know about. Okay? So just if you get the opportunity, it's just 24 minutes. It's not real long. It's all original scoring, original characters, people that you may know, places that you definitely know. And it's playing on AAC TV right now. You might have to check out the local listings for that. You can always check it out on the website. But if you get the opportunity, please come to the business forum. And also, if you get a chance to watch The Adventures of Auerbach, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No announcements? Okay. Well, then just, Anthony already mentioned that our next meeting will be February 11th, and we hope that you all can make it. But thanks again, or thanks for coming. And thank you, Andre, for a wonderful presentation. And as always, thank you, Adam, for all of your technical help. So we hope to see you again next month. Thank you, everyone.